Absolutely.
On that note, I want to take us to our final community segment. And really, it actually kind of branches off some of the things that Nico's talked about how we are dealing with our most vulnerable communities. You know, this has been a hard week for us in the nation. It's been a hard week for us here in Hawaii as issues of race and hate have really risen to the forefront in our community conversations. I wanted to share with our viewers here that the House majority and Hawaii Democrats everywhere are committed to fighting against all forms of discrimination. At this time, our hearts especially go out to Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities who continue to suffer more and in greater percentages in the state. In this community segment coming up, we visited with Representative Sonny Ganaden, and we visited with a community leader who I think you will find inspiring at Kuhio Park Terrace. Innocenta is a true community organizer, and her focus is on really empowering the students and children and keiki and teens who come through her doors at Kuhio Park Terrace. Please watch all the way through this video. There's lots of great resources, community resources there for Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and for people who want to help empower those communities. I'm going to sign off here, but please stay on and watch. Please stay safe, healthy, and informed. Wear your mask in public, and remember to follow good social distancing and hygiene guidelines. We'll see you on the next Talk Story, but please enjoy this community segment with me, Representative Ganaden, and with his community. Aloha. So I am here in beautiful District 30 with Representative Sonny Ganaden, and we'll be visiting with some of his residents. Representative Ganaden, tell me where we are.
Well, thank you so much for all joining us. We are here in the B building of Kuhio Park Terrace here in Lower Kalihi, and we're joined by Innocenta Saunkiku. She is the Director of Pacific Voices. They are a program that is dedicated to youth and cultural empowerment here in the community.
Can you tell us about the program here?
Pacific Voices is actually a program, like you said, part of the Kokokeli Valley Clinic. And it started by the aunties in the community that, you know, they were worried that a lot of their kids have grown up and are disconnected from our culture and tradition. We work with a lot of the Micronesian kids, but we also open the space up to anybody. So it was kind of interesting to have. We have a Chinese family that live right above the place, and the daughter used to come down and just watch and then play with the kids too. So we also have Samoan and Tongan kids that live around the area that also came in. And it's really good to see them interact with each other and see the similarities that they all have. And the beauty of it is that when we share our traditional stick dance that tells about our identities and who we are, even those other Pacific Islander kids were like, they pick up the movement and the things really fast. I love it when I ask them, "Are you warriors or chicken?" They all scream, "Warriors!" You know, because it really uplifts their spirit, and it uplifts who they are, and just knowing that there is these similarities that they have with one another.
Well, first off, it's not easy being a kid, and it's not easy being a kid in Kalihi, and it's not easy being a kid in public housing. Mm-hmm. So you're doing such an amazing job here of like making sure that kids' voices are being heard, that their culture is being honored. But why don't you just tell us about some of the things that they face every day?
A lot of the kids are not given the opportunity to really shine and show who they really are. And so, you know, just being who they are, like walking down the place because they're PI, kids, they're labeled as, you know, somebody who is a troublemaker or what. Literally, we have kids from our program that was walking on the side of the sidewalk, stopped, and then the police officer, you know, just stopped him and tell him to get off the phone. But he's on the sidewalk, so he had to come back and say, "This is what happened to me." And it's like, we don't want that, our community, to feel threatened or feel afraid of the people that are supposed to be protectors of our community. Kokokali Valley Clinic has played a huge role in collaborating with community. So what happened was the director of Kokokali Valley actually reached out to the pastors in our community to find out how can we be more supportive to the things that you guys are going through. Now, I get emotional because you don't usually get that. Like, nobody really cares, but this director reached out to our community. So I bring the 5 pastors in front of him. They communicate with each other. And in fact, from that first meeting, it was like, they said, well, this is important.
A lot of the kids that live here, they're actually citizens because they're born here in the United States.
Exactly.
So, but they're not really treated like that sometimes at school, and then their parents are from Micronesia or some other part of the Pacific.
Yes.
So, like, why do you put so much emphasis on them retaining their own culture and their own language?
Well, I really believe that your identity is important for your own growth yourself. So if you don't know who you are and your history, where you came from, and what ancestry you belong to, like when I first hear the story of my great-great-great-grandfather play a huge part in bringing together our people, that gives me pride to know that I'm part of that. So I want to give those to those children to, instead of focusing on all these negative things that they're experiencing here, they can connect to something that is beautiful and great, that is of their own identity, yeah? And many of these kids, I always tell them, you are born into your position. You are not elected to your position. Therefore, your accountability is not just to yourself, but to your whole line of lineage, your whole line of people. There is a reason why you're here. You need to find out that story. Many of them, they relocate here because of health or because of education and because of job. So you need to know your story. How did you end up here? Because your story is important, just like everyone else. And I think that it grounds them and it makes them be able to face anything that they have to face in the future if they know these important factors of their identities.
So Rep. Ganaden, where are we?
We are at St. Anthony's, the Catholic church here in Lower Kalihi. It's off of Pu'uhale, so it's really right here in the heart of the first and second generation Filipino community here in the district. It's my church as somebody who grew up Catholic. It's a place that I try to come to often to honor the faith of my parents. Yeah.
So it feels like a real oasis here in urban Kalihi. There's this really nice quiet space. So can you tell me about where we are in the church right now?
I guess we're off the side of the vestibule. So Filipino Catholics, they really honor the Virgin Mother. So she's right behind us over there. And then there's some offerings as well as really a place to just kind of reflect. The Catholic community actually came together and now they say a prayer at the end of Mass, and it's a prayer for the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. So, and it mentions Saint Damien and Saint Mary Ann Cope, that they dedicated their lives to service of those who had an infectious disease. And if you grew up Catholic, you know that a lot of it is based on ritual, like saying the Lord's Prayer, getting communion, that kind of thing, and then showing up every Sunday. So reiterating that we should be conscious of keeping each other safe, of the pandemic as it happens, and how to react to that has been really important way for people to maintain their faith during the last year.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this space. I think it's really important because we all have communities of faith in all of our districts. So this is actually the first community of faith that we visited as part of Talk Story. So thank you for sharing it with us.